A few months ago, I woke from a bizarrely vivid dream that I couldn't shake. In fact, it was so vivid I can return to the dream at will. I can relive the dream as I want and even continue where I left off. And I know how that sounds, but that is my experience. It wasn't a bad dream. It was quite pleasant. So I don't mind returning to it. I find it very relaxing. The world of the dream isn't all that different from our own, except that I can see how everything works there. I can see or otherwise experience all the invisible forces like gravity, electromagnetism, even life itself, the force called chi in some traditions, or ki, kundalini, shakti, spirit. In the dream world, the life force, the chi, moves through us, but is not us at the same time. And it often moves from one person to another depending on proximity. In this way, this energy is very different than the traditional notion of the soul, because soul implies individuality, and it's not how I see it in the dream. In the dream world, it is a dream world, and I know that. And the people there I encounter there, are different. They don't correspond to anybody that I know or this subjective reality. And I know how it sounds. So I did a little research about the ideas, some of the ideas that came out. Because this whole dream has caused me to look at the world a bit differently, or our world a bit differently. So I did some research on the phrase that I woke to in the original dream. So let me set the scene. I was in a large building with many rooms. It's unfamiliar to me, but in the dream, it is my home. Many other people live in the same building in some sort of, it's like a communal living situation. Not really apartments, more just like our own rooms, and we all kind of live together. In the original dream, it's my birthday. And several people are in my room helping me celebrate until somebody walks in, comes in, enters the room, and my sense is that this person is important to me, but I'm not clear on the relationship. Everyone else leaves the room as this person leans over and whispers in my ear, "Today, all will be Maya." And then kind of floats away. I follow out the door, and then everything I see is moving in slow motion as I stop to look around. Everything else is moving in slow motion. I'm not. Not the people, but just everything is moving. You can see the energy of everything. I can see the ripples in the air. I see everything not as individual objects, but I see everything in relationship to everything else. I see the ripples in gravity. As I move into the hall, I look back at my room, and above my door there's a sign. "Today, all will be Maya." And I repeat the words. "Today, all will be Maya." And that's where I woke up. Those words were echoing in my head. "Today, all will be Maya." And all that day and for many days to follow, those words just echoed in my head over and over again. So I did some exploring on the internet to see what I might discover about Maya. And there's a lot there. Of course, at first I had to look beyond the obvious references to the Mayan people and to people named Maya. And eventually I found some links that referenced Maya as it is understood in Hinduism and Buddhism. Actually, in Buddhism, I learned that Maya is the name of Gautama Buddha's mother. And in Mahayana Buddhism, it is our sense of self, all that which I think of as being uniquely me. That is our mother. It is all that you think that is uniquely you, is Maya. It's all that you think is uniquely you, but is not necessarily you. Because Maya is illusion. Now, another way of understanding this concept is that our experiences of this world are less substantial than we generally believe. In Buddhism, the path of liberation from ignorance, fear, clinging, the path to enlightenment is to understand that all this is just Maya. It is but illusory, so ultimately not relevant. Now, this Buddhist understanding of Maya, though I understand it, it doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't resonate with my dream either. So I looked a little deeper. And in the Hindu tradition from which Buddhism emerged, I found that this term Maya is rich with meaning. First, it is often used as the generic term for goddess, and it's a common name given to girls. And like in Buddhism, Maya in Hinduism is generally understood as illusion, but not in the same way. It plays a much larger role. It isn't irrelevant illusion. According to the American Institute of Vedic Studies, there are two levels of Maya. The first is the Maya of the world of nature. The magic of the mountains, rivers, oceans, sky, and stars. Nature is a Maya of beauty and wonder that helps us develop spiritually once we learn to recognize and live within its interdependent ways. So that's one form of Maya. The second, the more difficult level of Maya is that of our so-called civilized world, which includes all the various hidden influences, control mechanisms, and power games behind the social, economic, political, intellectual, religious, and spiritual influences that make up our social order. All those things that we think we are. The Maya of nature is not hard to deal with. In fact, it calls to us. Yet too often we ignore it because it requires greater effort to probe behind nature's mysteries. We ignore it because it asks us to live according to its laws, not our own. Nature invites us to live according to nature's laws. It is the Maya of our human world that is our main preoccupation. It's our challenge, it's our frustration and our problem. And in our social interaction, as we all know, there is much posturing, role-playing, pretending, and even downright deception going on. Imagine that. And the more I read about this understanding of Maya, the more it resonated with my dream experience, especially that Maya of nature. It felt as though I was seeing behind the appearance of separation and seclusion, sensing instead just how intimately everything is related. And at the same time, the more I experienced the Maya of the dream world, the more I understood the Maya of civilization. Because the primary illusion of the Maya of civilization is that we are somehow separate and distinct from nature. The idea that the world is an illusion, it is a naturally, it's a problematic proposition. I mean, we can see and feel and smell and taste and hear this wonderful world. How is it not real? How can we say it is illusion, that this is just Maya, and almost throw it away? Do we experience reality through our senses, or are we merely receiving a surface glimpse of something far greater, or even different than what it seems? Even if we add the tools of science and the media with their instruments of greater communication and perception to the data gained from the senses, we may still be getting an incomplete or distorted view of the world. Not the world as it is, but rather only one side of it, like the proverbial blind man and the elephant. Science reduces the world to subatomic particles and our body to chemical reactions that deconstructs the reality that appears through our senses and leaves us only with energy moving in space. Media biases are well known to all of us, both in the realms of business and politics, and new forms of communication are coming up regularly that are altering how we see the world. Clearly, Maya, or illusion, is there everywhere around us. It is an obvious fact for all. If we but look deeply, that things end up not really being what they appear to be. Because the world is forever shifting, changing appearances. It hides something different, deeper, invisible, or unknown. Because the illusion, like the illusion of a magician, is simply a matter of perspective. Each of us can only see the world from our own perspective. Or we may adopt a perspective, that of a politician or priest or a pundit. The illusion is that the limited perspective we adopt is complete. We think we know it all. We stand in this body and we think everything I can see is the limit of reality. Everything we watch on TV, that's the limit of reality. Everything science discovers in a lab, that's the limit of reality. As I now understand my dream world, it's helped me to look beyond appearance, beyond my normal senses, to discover this wonderful mystery of life. And as the Institute of Vedic Studies reminds us, the world is a magic show filled with wonder. including depths of wisdom and delight to share with us. If we but part the veil of appearances and look behind not only the forms of the outer world, but the movements of our own minds. Even the great discoveries of science are based upon probing behind appearances to see how things tick. The artist similarly possesses a deeper vision of the beauty behind the appearances of the world. The spiritual life invites us to give up our sense of familiarity, our conclusions and opinions, likes and dislikes, the idea that we really know who we are and what the world really is. It asks us to question our own assumptions. The deeper reality is unknowable in its entirety, and it cannot be put into words. It can only be experienced in the heart as the mystery that it always will be. Today, as in every day, all will be Maya. Today, politicians, pundits, and priests are telling us that we should believe and not believe. They tell us that this is reality, and anything that does not conform is not merely illusion, but delusion. We are deluded to disagree with their perspective because they're rich, they're powerful. But this is how it really is. We are never alone. We may think we are. We may feel that we are. That is the conditioning. That's the lie of civilization. See, the foundation of civilization, of society as we know it, it's rooted in fear and domination. The first civilizations taught that nature was something to be feared, needed to be tamed, and all people identified as other were to be dominated. All modern forms of government and organized religion are rooted in this reality. Every one of them. Even our democratically elected governments, because even now we believe that we cannot trust ourselves, that we need to be controlled, and nature must be managed to suit our needs. So we must have a government. That is not to say that all of civilization is bad. It's quite the opposite. There is no going back to pre-civilized reality. We cannot unmix this smoothie, I'm afraid. Everything happening today is based on what has been happening in the world for some time. And that is all shaped by the structures which govern us, which government, religion, etc., which are based on our foundational beliefs and assumptions about the world, those established over 5,000 years ago when the earth was flat and lightning was a sign from an angry God. We cannot change this history. But we can wake to the reality that the assumptions and beliefs that support the system of oppression and control are not real. That they are just assumptions and beliefs grounded in the past, made up by those with the intention to oppress and control. At this point, though, in time, with the help of the tools that civilization has given us, we can develop models of reality that are grounded on scientific reality, the reality of interdependence, and the evolutionary advantages of cooperation. And with this new understanding, we can develop new systems that support healthy and life-affirming patterns of behavior that will in turn create a new reality, one in which we will never again feel isolated and alone. Because that is the illusion, that we are isolated and alone. And all it takes is us waking up to that. This is the dream. The dream world is the one in which we're not interconnected. And that the energy in you and me and all life is somehow isolated and alone. That's the dream. That's the illusion. And it took a dream for me to understand that. So be it. Amen. Blessed be.